Now, when I get into explaining what this book is about, that passage is going to make a lot more sense. Corruptible God to the image made like corruptible man. It's going to make a lot more sense. So now, I have to destroy the very foundation in which Christianity stands on. And it's going to be real easy to do so, because all you have to do is read the book. So I'm going to get into Jesus dying on the cross. So the whole foundation of Christianity, the whole thing that gets people emotional, is Jesus gave his life for your sins. I've explained to you there are two stories in the Bible. In one story, Jesus dies. In the other story, Jesus does not die on the cross at all. But do you know about the story? Most of you do not know, have never heard of it. But Jesus didn't die on the cross. Now, if you read it the right way, it's really not two stories. It's a continuation of one story, but that's another thing. But there's really two stories here because, you got the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which for some reason they all came up with different accounts of the crucifixion and of Jesus' life. But Jesus did not die on the cross. Now, let's get into that. Now, it's sad because Jesus did not only survive the cross, but he begged, he prayed and pleaded to God to save him from the cross. And he knew he wasn't going to survive. He knew the whole time he wasn't going to die for your sins. Jesus never dies for your sins on the cross. And that's the sad part, that you believe that you get so emotional that he gave his life. Yes, in the book, Jesus did go to the cross. He was tortured and all that, but he survived it. He was scared the whole time. He got bodyguards and he got men to go get swords, and he got ready to actually fight him off. But he knew this is something that he had to do. But he prayed to God to save him from the cross. And let's listen to what happened. Pay attention, because all you got to do is read it. It's in there. Now look, let's start with Luke 22:33-44. It says, "And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death." See, they getting ready. "And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before that thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me." We all know about that verse. "And he said unto them, When I sent you without purse, without money, and script, and shoes, lack ye anything? And they said nothing." So he said, when I sent you without all this stuff, you didn't have anything. Did you need anything? No, I gave you what you needed. So he's saying, "Then say he unto them, But now, he that has money, a purse, let him take it." So take your money, and likewise his script. "And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garments to buy one." This is Jesus telling them, hey, now I didn't ask y'all to say nothing about money before, but if you got money, go get some swords, because he ain't trying to die. He's saying, go sell your clothes, get swords. Let's keep reading. "For I say unto you, that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressions, for the things concerning me have an end." See, he understood. Jesus knew what was going to come. He knew that this thing got to come to an end, but he didn't want it to. He was stressed. Now, 38 says, "And they said, Lord, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, It is enough. And he came out and went, as he was wont, to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them." He left away from them, about a stone's cast. So he went a few feet away from them, and he kneeled down and prayed, saying, "Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Remove this burden from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine will be done." So he's saying, get this burden off of me. I don't want to do this, but, let your will be done anyway. But take the burden from me. "And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. because he probably wasn't going to even make it out there to go to the crucifixion. He was ready to just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm ready to fight this off. I'm not trying to die. Excuse me. But the angel came and strengthened him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, as his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. He was sweating like, oh my God, this shit about to go down. And he's sweating like he not trying to do this. But we know anyway what happened. He went to the cross, and we know. So let's go fast forward to the crucifixion. Jesus is already on the cross. He went through all that bullshit. Let's fast forward and go to John 19, 29 through 34. Now, there was set a vessel of vinegar, and they fill a sponge with vinegar. This is very important. And put upon hyssop, and put it to his mouth. What the hell is hyssop? What is hyssop? Hyssop is a small, brushy, aromatic plant of mint, of the mint family, the bitter, minty leaves of which are used in cookery and herbal medicine. So if this man is about to die, why the hell would you give him some medicine? He's there to die. What you giving him medicine for? In biblical use, a wild shrub or uncertain listen, it says in biblical use, a wild shrub of uncertain identity, okay, whose twigs were used for sprinkling in ancient Jewish rites of purification. What the hell you want to purify him for? The man is going to die. He's on the cross to die. So let's go back to John 19:29 through 34. Let's read verse 30. It says, when Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. The Jews therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. Now understand, on the Sabbath, can't nobody be hanging up on the cross. You can't be up there. You can't be up there on the Sabbath hanging up on the cross. It's not good. It's a holy day. So what was supposed to happen was they were supposed to break the legs of the people that was on the cross so they can't run away or try to escape, and then continue the crucifixion later. So Pilate knew this. And it's one of the weird things, because remember, Pilate wanted to let Jesus go. Remember, his wife told him, hey, I'm having bad dreams about this man. Let that man go. So, Pilate knew that, okay, he's going to be on the cross, probably not a long time, so he might survive. So he said, go ahead. And he knew that they would have to come to him and say, to ask permission to bring him down. And I think, this is my thought, and this is a lot of other scholars' thought, thinking in the story that Pilate was going to then let Jesus go or set him free, because he knew he wasn't going to be on the cross long enough to die. And Pilate's his reaction later will show you that he didn't think Jesus was going to die on the cross. But let's keep going. Then came the soldiers and break the legs of the first and the other which was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was dead already, they broke not his legs. But one of the soldiers with the spear pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and water. Now, this is really important, because remember, I was telling you, in the earliest version of the New Testament, the earliest version, remember, this verse, John 29:34, was not in here. But one of the soldiers with the spear pierced his side, and went forth. That wasn't in there. When the soldiers speared him, it wasn't originally in John. It was in Matthew. It was in the book of Matthew. The reason why they put it here, and I told you before, I was going to explain why they put this here. Because if you do not put this verse here, if this verse was not here, there is no way Jesus dies. And it's obvious that he's alive. But this verse is it was put here deliberately to confuse you. Because now they got you thinking, one, he pierced Jesus, so that killed him. If he was alive when he stabbed him with that spear, he would have jerked or said something or made some kind of noise or screamed if he was alive. But understand they put that verse there because Jesus was faking. He was alive the whole time. He was unconscious. He was faking. Without this verse that wasn't originally here, it's clear that he survived. Now, it's weird, too, that John is the only chapter that mentions Lazarus, the whole Lazarus thing and rising from the dead. You got to understand this is a metaphorical story here, but we're going to get into it. And if you're not convinced yet, trust me, you will be as we go along. Okay, so now it's going to start to get a lot more clear here that Jesus didn't die. If you ain't convinced yet, you will be. But you need to understand, I've explained in the video, Jesus is the Son, S-U-N, not the Son, about the whole winter solstice and how it parallels the story of Jesus on the cross. Yeah, the whole cross of the zodiac. But where did the actual story of a man dying on a cross come from? Where did they get it from? Now, let's go into Mark 15, verses 43 through 45. This is Joseph of Arimathea, an honorable counselor, which also waited for the kingdom of God, came and went boldly unto Pilate and craved the body of Jesus. And Pilate marveled. Think about it. He marveled if he were already dead. He marveled. He was like, what? Jesus dead? So he asked the centurion and he said, how long has Jesus been dead? It says whether he had been any while dead. He asked the centurion, how long has he been dead? Because he's shocked. He knew that he's not going to be on the cross all day, because the Sabbath coming. So they got to take his body down. So he knew that he's no way he should be dead. So when he found out from the centurions, it says in 45 that he was dead, he gave the body to Joseph. So where did this story come from? Where did the story of 3 men on a cross being crucified come from? Now, it's not just any old story. You got Jesus on the cross and you got 2 other men. It's 3 men being crucified. So where could we find something like this at? And the only place you can find it before your Bible was written comes from the man who wrote it. Comes from the life of Flavius Josephus. Now, when I found this story, it blew me away. I was shocked like this, because first of all, this was written way before your Bible was put together. It was written before your New Testament. So I'm like, this is obviously where the story came from. Now, when you actually read the story, it's in this book, The Life of Flavius Josephus. It's no way you can't tell me this is where the story comes from. Now it says, Life 76. And when I was sent by Titus Caesar and the Cyrilians and 1,000 horsemen to a certain village called the Coa, in order to know whether it were a place fit for a camp, as I came back, I saw many captives crucified. He saw many captives crucified and remembered 3 of them as my former acquaintances. So there we go. We got the 3 men right there. I was very sorry at this in my mind and went with tears in my eyes to Titus. So he goes to Titus. So here you have Josephus going to Titus. There you had Joseph going to Pilate. What's going on? Now let's continue. It says, and told him of them. So immediately commanded them to be taken down. So Titus said, take them down, and to have the greatest care taken of them in order to recover. So here you have 3 men being taken down and give them good care so they can recover. Listen to what I'm saying. So they can recover. Great care. Okay, let's keep saying. Yet 2 of them died under the physician's hands, while the 3rd recovered. So 1 lived. We know who lived. Jesus lived. And I'm going to prove it to you. But look at the story. Come on. If you can't wrap your hand around this, it's before your New Testament. This is where it came from. It came from the man we've been talking about who gave you your Bible in the first place, Flavius Titus Josephus, with the help or with the permission from Titus and whoever else helped them to give the Hebrews their New Testament. Now, understand, we don't need that story. We don't need the whole thing about the life of Josephus to prove what I'm about to show you here, because what it says in the Bible is exactly, almost to a T, what Josephus wrote in his autobiography. And common sense should tell you, you got Joseph of Arimathea And you got Josephus bar Mathia. That's another name for Josephus, but I don't want to get into that part. But when you research Josephus bar Mathia, you'll find out that that's Joseph of Arimathea. You'll find out that Josephus bar Mathia is Titus Flavius Josephus. But I don't want to use that part. I want to be fair and give Christians a little bit of, leeway here. But we're going to just leave that out. Let's pretend like it's the court of law. We're going to leave that out, even though the jury already heard it. So let's keep going, because the Bible is just going to say what he just said. But let's go to John 19, 38 to 39. It says, "And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus," but this is just reiterating what Mark said, "but secretly, for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus." Why secretly? What's going on here? Secretly. "And Pilate gave him leave. He came therefore and took the body of Jesus." Okay. Now, "And there came also Nicodemus, which at first came to Jesus by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100-pound weight." What the fuck is myrrh? Let's go to myrrh. Check it out. Now, myrrh is Hebrew. Now, I want to go down here. It says that myrrh, resin, is a natural gum. It has been used throughout history as a perfume, incense, and medicine. It can also be ingested by mixing it with wine. Ingested. That means you got to drink the shit, and you got to be allowed to drink something. Okay, now, so you need to understand what has happened, because I don't think people understand what's going on. I don't think you understand what just took place. So let's go back to John 19. Let's go to 39 and realize what's being said here. 38 and 39. It says, "And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first to Jesus by night." This is there, remember, to the Jews, a stumbling block. To the Greeks, foolishness. This is foolishness. "Which at the first came to Jesus by night." So it's saying he already came to Jesus at night. So obviously when Joseph coming in there talking to Pilate, this is after Jesus was already taken off the cross and put into the sepulcher. So now Joseph, after Nicodemus obviously healed them because he brought him a mixture of the myrrh and aloes and everything. So obviously Jesus is healed already. So now Joseph, he's making it like, can I take the body? The man's dead. So can I take the body? And Pilate is like, because he took him down. He's like, is he dead? How is he dead? Because y'all took him down and this and that. So he wasn't even up there that long. How is he dead? But pay attention to 39. It says, "Which at the first came to Jesus by night and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes." Can't get any more clear than that. He already came to Jesus. So let's keep going. Now let's go to John 11 through 18. John 20, 11 through 18. This is where Mary is in there. This is where the whole resurrection is supposed to have taken place. Now, it says, "But Mary stood without at the sepulchre weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and seeth two angels in white sitting, the one at the head, the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. And they said unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? She said unto them, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I know not where they have lain him. And when as had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Jesus standing, and knew not that it was Jesus." Okay, Mary, how the hell she don't know who Jesus is? How do you not know Jesus when you see him? Why would she not know that that was him? Now, let's pay attention to why it says, "Jesus said unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou?" She, supposing him to be a gardener. What? Explain to me, how in the world do you mistake him to be a gardener unless he was dressed like a gardener? She didn't mistake him to be somebody else. She didn't mistake him to be a preacher or a gravedigger or somebody like that. She mistaken him to be a gardener. He had to be dressed like a gardener. So let's go back. Let's think about something. Remember, you had Nicodemus gone into the sepulchre at night and given him myrrh and aloes. He healed Jesus at night. Then what you had was Joseph go to Pilate and say, "Can I have a body?" Making it like he was already dead. You see that Pilate was like, huh? He dead? What you mean he dead? He was shocked that he was supposed to be dead. He wasn't up on the cross long enough to die. So what they did was they healed Jesus. And when he said he could have the body, basically Jesus just walked up out of there because he was healed. And he's disguised now as a gardener because he's supposed to be dead. But let's keep reading it. If you're not convinced, you're going to be convinced. Now, saith unto him, Sir, if thou have borne him hence, tell me where thou have laid him, and I will take him away. Jesus said unto her, Mary. She turned herself and said unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Jesus said unto her, this is important, very important. Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father. Gang. What? Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father. I have not rose, because he ain't never died. He survived. I have not ascended. The whole premise, everything your religion stands on, if Jesus is Jesus dying and ascending unto heaven and coming back. Jesus supposed to have died and ascended and came back. Died, ascended, came back. It says here clearly, touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father. Why not touch me? Because he's sore as shit. He just been beaten down. He's sore. Don't touch me. I ain't ascended yet. I'm still in flesh. Clearly it's saying that. But he says, pay attention, but go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascended unto my Father. What? And your Father, and to my God and your God. So he just told her to go lie. He said, go lie to them. Go tell them I did ascend. But he just said, I am not yet ascended to my Father. But he just told Mary to go lie and tell them I have ascended. That's game. That's game. But I'm going to overkill it. Let's keep going. Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the Lord and that he had spoken these things unto her. Now, first, before we go there, let's go somewhere real fast. Because when you read, when it starts out in John, she goes there and it's supposed to be her by herself. Now, she's in there by herself. Now, when you start reading John, it's supposed to be Peter and some other people with her. But when you go to Mark, it says that, when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome has bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. So, why are you going to come anoint somebody that's dead already? But let's go down here because I want you to see, remember, Mark 16, it ends at 8. Now, remember we said, this is my whole point here. So I want you to understand why this is important. Because Mark 16 ends at verse 8. And that was the end in all of the original old manuscripts. But in 9, this is why this is important. Read what it says here in 9. It says, now, when Jesus was risen early, the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils. What? John doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in John. Now, it's saying here that Jesus rose and cast demons out of Mary. But then in John, it's a totally different thing. But that's not going to take away from our story. That's just the part I wanted to note, because I want you to understand why Mark stops at 8. And then obviously somebody added 9 throughout. So let's keep going, because we're going to just figure the rest of this out. And it's going to clearly show you that, 1, he didn't die. And 2, this is all some bullshit. But let's keep going. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke 24, 37 through 40, because he's basically telling you outright here. It says, but they were terrified and affrighted and supposed that they had seen a spirit. So they're thinking they seen a spirit of Jesus. And he said unto them, why are ye troubled? And why do thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold, my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit have not flesh and bones, and as ye see me have. Listen, he's not dead. It's clearly showing you. He's telling him, touch me. I'm flesh and bone. I'm not dead. I'm not a spirit. So you're talking about the whole Oh man, I just go back to church, just think about all the sermons about Jesus rose and the glory and all this and that and the Holy Spirit. He wasn't dead. The man ain't died. And when he had thus spoken, he showed them his hands and feet. Now, it's going to go deeper than that, because Jesus not only showed them his hands and feet, he actually went and ate with these people and sat down with them, and he ate. So spirits can't eat. So it says here in Luke 24:41-43, it says, and while they yet believed not for joy and wondered, he said unto them, have ye any meat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and honeycomb. And he took it and did eat before them. So dead men don't need to eat. If he died, come on, man. If he died and ascended, what the hell he need to eat for? Why does he need to eat? Now, you're supposed to be... Now, the pastors had you believe that all the time when Jesus is coming through talking, because they don't give you these verses, they got you believing that this is some ghost, some spirit of Jesus walking around, flying around. But clearly, it's telling you here, this man never died. He's in the flesh. But if you ain't convinced yet, you will be. Okay, so let's continue, because Jesus actually tells you that he is not going to die. He tells you he's going to survive. Now, let's go to Matthew 12:38-40. Now, it says, then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. But he answered and said unto them, an evil, listen to what he says to them. He says, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. And there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and nights in the heart of the earth. Come on. He just gave it away right there. He's telling you, just like Jonas. Let's go to Jonas. Let's look at Jonas. Now, you got Jonas 1:17. It says, now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonas, and Jonas was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights, which is retarded. Like, come on, no grown ass man can't be in no fish. That right there should tell you it's some bullshit. But Jesus is saying, just like Jonas was in there 3 days, how many days? Jesus is supposed to have what? Risen on the 3rd day. How many days? 3 days. You got to put this shit together. It's telling you. What happened to Jonas? Did Jonas die? No, Jonas did not die. He survived. He went through hell in the fish, but he survived. So Jesus is saying to you, it's going to be just like Jonas. I'm not going to give you no sign. There's not going to be any sign. He said, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. That's a little pop shot at the Jews that they put in the Bible. But there's not going to be a sign, but only the sign of Jonas, the prophet Jonas. Now, it goes on. It says here, Hebrews 5. In Hebrews 5:5-7, they're talking about Christ here. It says, so also Christ glorified, not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto him, thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. As he said also in another place, thou art a priest for ever after in order of Melchizedek. Now, Melchizedek was supposedly a priest that basically blessed Abraham. Now, it says, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared. So it's telling you, it's confirming. Remember, Jesus was praying and he feared dying. And he's telling you, he offered up prayers and supplication with strong crying and tears unto him that he was able to save him from death. He's saying that God saved Jesus from death. Listen, I gave you enough. I gave you more than enough to prove to you, one, he ain't die on the cross. He bitched up and he got saved from the cross. He survived. So obviously, Jesus never died on the cross. He didn't die. They gave him some shit. He passed out. They only put that verse in there about him being stabbed with the spear. They took it from Matthew and put it there in John because John shows clearly. Without that part in there, there's no way you believe that he died. They put the whole spear of destiny thing in there so you would take it as he being killed by that spear. He was done because he didn't react to it. So they threw that in there. But the part that gives it all away, the part that explains it all, is when he says, I have not yet ascended unto my Father. I have not ascended. I mean, I could have just gave you that. That right there is it. Because I get Christians saying, no, he ascended, but he came back into his body so he can speak to his disciples. Then I get other Christians that say, oh, no, he did ascend. He just came back down, and he came back down to the spiritual form to speak to his disciples. So they thought the spiritual form was his actual body. No, that's not what the book says. The book don't say that. I just read to you what the book says. They add shit to it to try to make it fit when that's not what the book is saying. The book said the motherfucker didn't ascend. He's telling you, I ain't ascend. He said, look at me. Look at my hands. Look at my feet. Do I look like a spirit? I'm in flesh. He ate. Spirits don't need to eat food. So, that's the end of that part. I mean, come on. We done with that. I want to move on. Next part, I have to get into the satanic part of it. This is everybody is talking about the whole agnostic part of the Bible and how they twisted it. But you have to understand, how did they come up with that? And it makes a lot of sense when you start digging into the Bible, especially the beginning part of it, Genesis. You realize why they came to this conclusion. Now, the whole thing about the whole Gnostic faith, the whole thing about the satanic verses, is because they looked at the Bible from a different way. And I will be doing you a disservice if I didn't give you this perception of the Bible. You need to know everything about it. But you need to understand how they came about or came to this conclusion. Now, and I was telling you before about the non-commodity manuscripts, and they are of Gnostic faith. Because when they critiqued this Bible, when they started to look at those manuscripts and look at these original teachings, they said, well, wait a minute. When you read the book of Genesis, I mean, that doesn't seem like a God who will preach love, peace, and mercy. I think this God is evil because, one, in the Garden of Eden, remember, God's original plan was what? To deceive man, to deceive him. Because he put you in the garden, but he didn't want you to know the truth. He didn't want you to be like him. He didn't want you to have knowledge of good and evil. So they saw that as being evil. Something is wrong here. Why would he not want us to know the truth? And it was the serpent who came, which is why they believe the serpent is good. And the serpent said, no, he trying to deceive you because he know if you eat of the fruit, you will be as of God, knowing both good and evil.